Hey everyone, I'm here with Leanna Jane Lewis from Leanna Jane Yoga, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys with her about Goddess Awakening and how we can all come together. That came up for me this weekend when I was doing an Akashic Record reading with our friend Jennifer. She did a beautiful session with me, and it came through to reach out to Leanna and how she's using her philosophy with the ancient yoga practices and bringing the beautiful women of this earth together in sisterhood and growing and expanding and doing Goddess Awakening stuff. And I'm super excited about that because it kind of came through for me that I was like a guide on earth to support women in like purifying our like sexual creativity and that connection and releasing the taboos that North America has on like it being sinful or wrong or dirty or bad, or that you're not a good girl if you enjoy sex, or that you can't be like a mother who enjoys sex, like all these like things that have suppressed women in the patriarchy that have separated women from our power and our connection to our sexuality and our sexual creativity and all the power that we have within that, because literally like we're miracles, like we create life and can birth life through us, and we are so powerful. And that's been detached from us. And like I'm getting into like even further parts of my journey where I'm like connecting with awesome women who are having like ecstatic births and who are talking about like it didn't used to have stories around like fear and death in it. Like our bodies are made for it, and when we connect with the power within us, like we don't have to have terrible experiences all the time around our body and birth and sex and our relationships, and that it can be a pure connection and that it can connect us in a more loving way, and that it doesn't have to have the societal junk or limiting beliefs that humans, especially in North America, have put on it. So I was like, okay, so I need to like reach out and be like, how can I do this? How can I call in all my soul sisters and like move forward on my journey with all the ease? And then Leanna was like, I would totally love to share all of this with your people too. So we're going to talk about calling in your sisterhood, feminine marketing instead of like the push or like hard masculine energy marketing, some of the practices and like rituals she does, and like just fully trusting and not doing that like forced marketing that feels bad or like super salesy, or like, oh my gosh, I have to post a certain amount of times because my marketing coach says I have to do that, and like all the junk that has held women back in growing our businesses. And this will support light workers who are ready to like step up and shine and lead sisterhoods, and also for women who are feeling called to sisterhood. So I encourage you guys to stay around for this talk.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
Holy, there's so many things I can say. But first off, when you were talking, so we cannot use an old way of thinking or being or a structure or a foundation or a paradigm, whatever words you want to describe this entity that everybody sort of is constructed into and follows. Mm-hmm. We just simply can't use an old way of thinking to create a new reality. Mm-hmm. And what's happening right now is, if we all agree, for the purposes of this conversation, that the divine feminine is in fact rising.
Yes.
Right? The thing is that, yeah, my cat might come and say hi. The divine feminine has been resiliently rising for millennia. Mm-hmm. So, you know, this is important to remember the voices and stories of so many women who have come before us that have been treading their own trail. And we are the collective now is an accumulation, the accumulation of these stories. And so this divine feminine rise isn't coming out of a vacuous space. It's coming from hundreds and hundreds of women before us that have been leading the charge. And all we're doing is taking it to the next level, which is to say the old ways aren't working. And how that's going to show up, how I'm going to show up to that is in my business. So we're looking to not just break apart the old model, but embody the new model in everything that we do. Yeah. Which is to build great trust in our own process, which is to trust that what feels good for us, or when we show up as a beam and a being of light, when our energetic spaces in our body are sending that out, it literally is a magnet. Mm-hmm. So I know there's this idea of attraction marketing, and I have to be honest, I don't really know what it is, so I can't speak to it. But mm-hmm. I can say that the best marketing I ever do is when I believe in something more than I ever have before, more and more each day, and I never shut the F up about it. Like I never stop talking about it. And mm-hmm. I'm not afraid to take up the space that this passion project requires, right? So what we're really looking to do is like take the word marketing away, and all we're asking ourselves and all we're being called to do is simply to take up more space.
Yeah.
And in that taking up more space, we're now literally sending out a radio signal, beaming out to other humans that are picking up the signal and going, oh yeah, I want that. People aren't buying from you or joining your sisterhood circles or anything like that because of anything other than the energy that you're in. And all they want to do is get in that energy. So it kind of begs the question, traditional, I was listening to this on the way here. I do little voice memos occasionally, and I record myself just, stream consciousness. Yeah.
Same.
And one of the things I had questioned is what really is the purpose of market research now? If you're a deep listener and you are fully embodying the leadership role that you are trusting you're being called to do, really, what is the purpose of market researching? Like, what is the purpose of reaching out to people, seeing what they want, creating what they want, and selling it? To me, that's part of an old system. However, the beauty of market research is to reach out to people who will feel called to respond back to you and just have a conversation. So market research now isn't for the purposes of extracting their language and extracting everything they need and then plopping it on your sales page so that they buy. To me, that's sneaky.
Right.
It's sneaky in a way. But if you're showing up fully embodied as a leader, guiding people, then you're deeply listening to them. You're taking in what they have, and you're making sure that when you show up, it is of value to them. Yeah. But it's not about the traditional reasons for doing market research to create a product that will sell.
Right.
If you're really stepping into your role and you're really deeply tuned into the collective, then it's already created in future time, and you just get to catch up to it.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I kind of question, well, what is the purpose of market research now? To me, it's just a way to connect to other women, because I work with women, and have a conversation. Yeah. And just hold a space to bear witness to where they're currently at. And it can be a way to understand, oh, that conversation was very interesting. And, I'm just noticing that some people aren't going to fit into this particular circle. Yeah. And that conversation reminded me of who this particular circle is meant for. So the market research is there for you to just continually evolve in your own process of, well, what is it that I'm creating? Because you can start with a vision, but it doesn't have to be crystal clear. It can start becoming more clear and clear as you notice and see who's coming into your holodeck, as I call it. But I think in terms of like the new way is, are you really embodying the leader that you are bringing people on a journey within themselves to become?
Right.
So are you actually embodying that currently in current time, not future time, in current time, because they're looking to become or be where you are in their own way. Yeah. Right. I think the big one, honestly, like to be really super honest, is to never stop talking about what you're doing in everything that you do, but not to do it in a way where it's, oh, I feel like I have to post, or I have to show up and share this. Oh, it has to be, I have to. It's not about that. It's literally just, I wrote probably 10 posts back to back on a day where I felt, people call it the download or whatever, but on a day where I was fully hit with all of it, it just flowed out of me. So there has to be a deep trust that ebb and flow in your creative and space within yourself. Like there's an abundance of flow within you. And if you're really tapped into your purpose, it's just literally going to come out. You're going to sit down and you're going to write it all out. Like that's why people write a book in a day, because they're in their zone of genius and they're tapped into what they're supposed to be doing. So when you're talking about how do I call in these people, it first starts with, how am I doing the work here that embodies the place for people to land? Creating the container within yourself so that people get what they're, like some people will say, I don't even know what this, like I've had people join my programs, like, I don't even know what's this program about, but they've already paid. They're already joining because they deeply trust something that I embody.
Yes. so beautiful. I love that. And like, it's different than like, I feel like there's some law of attraction coaches out there, or like alignment coaches who are like, spend 5 hours on your energy every day, and like they'll come in and it's like, well, you also have to like do that inspired action that when the download comes of like write this post, even if you're like, I have to write this post, like, okay, and you just like write the post and then someone's like, oh my God, this is exactly for me, and trust that and be like, okay, well, that's what came through and I did it, even though it was like in the middle of the night and I just got a download and it's like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, and being like, okay, this is what I need.
Totally. And that's, to me, that's just fully trusting. Like, you're not just trusting the messages that are coming to you. You're trusting that it's safe and it's okay to fully stand up and be who you are and share what you have to say.
Yes.
I think the other thing that kind of trips us up is like, we're looking for some formula, right? We're looking for like, what are the steps that I take? And I'm guilty of this too. Like, okay, just tell me the first thing to do and the second. And I want to really make it clear that I don't fill my programs because I just fully go with the flow the whole time. And I'm just like, it's all random chaos. It doesn't happen just because of that. It happens because I make sure that I hit certain must-haves in order for people to kind of come to me.
Yeah.
So they have to know that there's a program. They have to know a little bit about me. So I have to kind of share a little bit about my life.
Right.
Most people know that my father passed away in June, and that's a big part of my story right now. That's a big part of where I'm at. That's a big part of my journey. It's big. And so for me to just kind of not talk about it, to me, doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's not about leveraging your pain in your story. It's about just sharing, hey, this is me. I'm a mom of 2. I live in a small town. Like, whatever. People love who you are.
Yeah.
As long as you love who you are.
Very true.
So there's certain target points you want to hit. You want people to know who you are. This isn't just a know, like, and trust factor. This is also like, do they even know what your offering is? So are you saying, by the way, Goddess Awakening, it's a paid membership group. Like, I'm not going to stop talking about it on this live because it's what's happening next. And I've already done my ritual of calling in so many women because I believe in this project. And I just think I think it's crazy not to do it. Right. I have such a deep belief in it. Yeah. So it's making sure, like, are you actually being clear with what you're offering? Are you telling people what the program is? Do you have, when you're calling women in, you need to have not just a safe and sacred container, but a container that people understand. So is there a time limit on this? Like, what are the kind of guiding lights of this container? What are the beliefs that you need to have in order to fully be in this container and express yourself within it? So it's about kind of making it clear what it is and not using language that's so far out there that doesn't speak to enough people.
Right.
So the language that you use matters. Like, I mean, I don't really use yoga terms per se. I might say prana and I might say pranayama and I might say, but by and large, I don't even really use the term chakras. I just talk about energy in your body, because once I say chakras, there are certain people that tune out because they think, because it's a worthiness thing. It's like, oh, I can't join that space because I don't know what chakras are. Right. But that's the very reason you need to join the space. So it's about making sure that you're hitting these target points of communication. Does this, are you actually, and then are you saying the thing? Are you giving people a direct line to contact you, a direct line to sign up? Is it really clear? Is your line clear for people to come to you? Or because if it's not because you don't know how to, it's because there's something within you that's holding back.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, it's sabotage. It's a self-sabotage thing. Like, oh, I created a program and it didn't work, and so maybe it's not the right time. And so it's like, well, if you hit all the little target points, do people know it? You'd be surprised how many people I know online that are launching a program, and I see their posts and I love them and I namaste, and it's not a judgment, it's a noticing. I notice that if I wanted to join their program, I still don't know how to do that.
Right.
So when you're calling in your sisters, please make sure that you've actually cleared the snow on your long driveway.
I love that, because like I have had experiences where someone shares a post and I'm like, oh my God, I love this person. And like they don't say who they are at all in the live, and they kind of just mention it. And then I'm like, I love you. And I'm like, I need to like do extra work to follow you and try to find this. And like I do, because I'm a huge seeker, and I'm like, this is my fucking next step. Let's go.
Yes.
Like, but I have to like go and like search on their posts and like find something on their website and like dig around, and it's not like easily presented. So that's why I've this time around in launching have actively been like, I am super excited for this. Like if you feel at all called to like from broken to blissful, like do this, like reach out to me, like the links in the comments or like stuff like that.
Yes.
But if someone randomly shares my experience from broken to blissful to someone else because they're like, oh my gosh, that hit me and my friend would resonate with that, then they're not like, oh, she has nothing about the thing. Like I have no idea where to go next. And this is a brand new person to me. So I love that you said that, and the worthiness piece about specific words in a group, because I've been a part of like masterminds and sisterhoods before where like I perceived all of the women like just like on day one and like kind of going into it being like, I feel like all of these women are better than me. And like, am I going to go there? And like how like I have to like go on a Facebook Live to intro myself because it was like a higher level like business thing. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, I don't want to like be seen and be like rejected and not belong with this community. And that's what I found when I've been doing some clarity calls around it, is people are like, well, what's like, who else is in there? What are their stories? And it's been really interesting because I'm like so transparent this year with exactly who I am and what I've gone through and my stories and how I've suffered in my relationships and my sexual experiences and with my parents and like different things like that, that women are like, oh my gosh, like when you said that, that's when I knew that I needed that. And I'm like, yeah. And the two other women who I talked to before that, they have that in their story too. And that's what their shame is. And like, that's why you're going to be supported in exactly that way in the group. And it's like, you're not alone. And that's a huge thing, because so many people have that like silent suffering of like victimhood and helplessness. And they're like, this is something wrong with me. And they don't want other people to see it. And it's like, that's how you can heal. And that's how you can like form those deep bonds of sisterhood, to be like, yes, me too. Like, oh my God, I love you.
and this hits like one of the points, like everything you're saying 100%. And there also needs to be an awareness and a release as the, like, while you're embodying the leadership role that is required of you, as you're calling in your sisters into your particular container that you're very clear about, right? You're clear on the name, you're clear on what it covers, you're clear on what it isn't, you're clear on, you know, the place that people generally are as they come into this container.
Yes.
So that's also having clarity around who it is not for. And as you go through and you're welcoming people in, you will likely notice energetic cords that you have tied to people and you're holding on to them because you're like, you have a judgment. I know where you are. You need this. I can help you. It's so frustrating to see you not do anything for yourself. It's so frustrating to see you post these memes and I know behind the scenes nothing's changing. Like, this is judgment that you're going to notice if you're a self-reflective human, which you need to be to hold space.
Yes.
You're going to notice I have a judgment, and you're going to need to like energetically apologize and cut the cord and let them go. This is going to happen as you're calling people in. If you're just kind of starting your journey of holding these spaces, not everybody's for you, and not everybody is in your circle is meant to be there. So deep trust that you have the capacity to know who belongs and who doesn't, and not to try to force people, because you can't. The reality is for every 5 women or 10 women, let's say 10, for every 10 women I connect with, and I know this is a great space, there are going to be about 4 women, like roughly, that just aren't ready. Right. It's not about the investment. Like my membership group that's opening March 8th, International Women's Day, is $97 a month. Yeah, it's $97 a month. And it's massive value. And it's absolutely perfect for people that are just starting their journey. They're on their journey. They need a place to remind themselves. They need something to keep them on track. They want accountability. Like, they want new information and they want new stuff to come into their holodeck. That this is great. It's $97. So most of us, $97 is totally doable, right? And so I know if people are hesitating, it's because I'm not clear in my messaging. I'm not clear on what it is that you're getting for this. Or it's not about the money. It's because there's a part of them that is blocked. I don't really use that term that often, so I'm going to put it in here. But there is something unwilling to shift and change. So energetically, that person hasn't given themselves permission to allow something new to come in. They're just holding on to their victim story and life is hard and it can't change. And those are not people that you want in your circle anyways, because energetically they're not available. And so they become an energetic block that just kind of changes the dynamic of the group. The space you're creating is sacred. So you have a responsibility to be totally tuned in to who it is not for as well.
Yes. I love that too, because like this year has fully been like just connecting to source and doing those things and like not listening to like when my ego's like, but you should be doing that. And it's like, no, I'm just like going to deep dive into the trust of what you guys want me to do for this. And it's been very interesting to like get the intuitive hits of like when specific women have those victim stories and then they're like kind of interested in, I'm like, you're not ready for that yet. I'm like, if you want to go one-on-one, then we could go deeper. But like where you're at on the journey isn't where we're starting in the group. And I like explained that.
That's
so much in detail to people where I'm like, this is where other people are starting. And it's not like they're brand new to energy or they're brand new to crystals or they're brand new to anything in particular. They've just done a certain amount of work on their journey. And I'm not going to like almost like keep that group stagnant while I'm trying to like do so much here to catch you up. It's like,
I mean, you can, right? But what happens is that now it's challenging you to balance your own energy. And then how are you able to show up for your group?
Right.
And so I think having clear boundaries for your container, but that's also about having clear boundaries for yourself, which, you know, I'm always learning too, as I go along. So I said to be picky. Oh, and to be willing to shift and change your vision, because you might have like, right. We have to be flowing and open, and we have to be willing to shift and change. That's just a natural and normal part. It's like, that's the constant, right? Like inhale, exhale. Ooh, air is changing in my body all the time.
Right.
And the moment I don't accept this and hold my breath, I no longer can be in this world. Right. So on a bigger level, we need to also accept change. So I might have a vision for a program and I have a vision for how it's going to be. And then when actually everybody shows up, it's not how I thought it was.
Right.
So if I'm not willing to just let it be what it is and get the lesson in that and flow with it, then how am I showing up? I'm showing up holding, retracting, trying to control it, as opposed to just, oh, okay, so this is what it is. Fabulous. Like we as not just as women, but just as humans have this, I don't know why, but this innate drive to control everything. And we don't need to.
Right.
We don't need to. We're not meant to, for crying out loud.
I know, and you can't. Yeah, exactly. It's like it only drives you crazy when you're trying to control things that are uncontrollable and that like you're not responsible for. Like,
so I want to make sure that I was really clear, because this is something that I'm like saying, you got to be clear. But so in terms of like the launch plan for calling in women and like attracting people to you, like from a marketing point of view, you do want to sit down and have a plan. So there's lots of amazing coaches out there that have like freebies or massive value. Jenna Fay is one of them. And she gives like really great, like, here's what I did for my launch plan and here's how it worked. So you want to show up to your launch as a business owner. Like I am a fully responsible human. So I have like a spreadsheet for all the members that are joining this membership group. And it doesn't even start until March 8th. The group isn't technically open, but I already have people that have asked me for information. So I'm starting a list so that I can follow back up with them. So yes, you want to show up like I have a system in place that I'm running. So you want to have some type of a launch plan. You don't want to expect something to launch in 2 weeks. You need to give it the time. And certain target points of making sure that your message is clear. Do you even know what you're offering? Like all of those kind of nitty gritty things, I call them. Like you do need to show up in adult here.
Yes.
Making sure that's there. But in terms of the rituals for self and the embodiment of the leader, that is equally important. So what I do for the energy part of it is I manage and monitor my energy as the launch is happening. I take extra rest where I may not have before.
Right.
I do not buy into the belief of I've got to push hard and I've got to sacrifice exercise, sleep, and food. During any type of launch, I actually put more of that so that I'm enjoying more pleasure points and more happy zones and more calm zones, because that's the energy literally that is being sent out. That's what people are picking up on. That's what they want to be in. So I'm just consistently checking my energy. I'm also doing ritual that feels really fun. So one sisterhood I mentioned before, I went out to the water and I sat there and I listened and I felt into the number of women that I saw in that circle, which was 12. And I wrote 12 in the sand and I saw 12 women in my circle. I do sisterhoods online, so I see it in the Zoom. So I see the Zoom chat and I see all beautiful faces on there and I feel it and I'm experiencing how wonderful it is. And I'm in it. I'm in that experience. And I'm embodying that belief so deeply right now. It's not even a question of like, will they show up? It's not a question. So then I go around and I pick out like 12 rocks and I put them in a circle and I sit with the energy of those 12. Like that, nobody told me to do that. I just sat and, this feels really good. So if you want to embody a leader that magnetically, energetically calls in people, it's up to you to create your own trust in the ritual for that to happen. But meditation is great. I write down, one of my mentors taught me this, Anastasia, she called it a ghost list. As I connect with people and as people are interacting with me on Facebook, I will write their names down. Not everybody in the ghost list is coming in the program, but I make sure, because sometimes people don't know that they are ready for something yet.
Right.
So you communicate with them. But that's like the general ritual.
Beautiful. I love that. So then, like, in my old story, I wouldn't want to bug people when I was like playing small and not wanting to hold up space. But I was talking with a friend in a mastermind and she's like, I always love when someone reaches out to me and they're like, I've been thinking about you. Like, are you ready for it? Because then she's like, she doesn't ever feel bothered by that. And I get specific women's names in my head and I'm like, oh, I don't want to bother them. But it's like, it's not a bother. And it's like interesting to like look at the ego's things when I get intuitive hits. And then it's like, why are you not trusting this? It's like those interesting things. So do you kind of like, if you're like, I thought of this person, just reach out and be like, hey, I thought of you. How are you doing? Would this resonate? Or like,
I get those hits of contacting people and then I like hold myself back for a second. One thing that I do when that happens, so I'm extremely mindful in my day to day. Like it's just a practice now that I just embody all the time and I love it. And what I find myself doing when I notice that is I just notice it. I don't judge it. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm like having this weird feeling about messaging this person. Like, oh. And then so sometimes what I'll do is nothing. And I'll just be like, okay, well, it feels uncomfortable right now. And I'll come back to it. Like I just give myself permission to just, oh, okay, I feel uncomfortable. Great, no problem. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't need to change or do anything. So there's like a mindfulness of like, I can just let that be and not make it wrong. Then sometimes I get playful because that is our highest level of learning. And I go, so let's take this really far. So I have this fear of like messaging this person. And then I create this like impossible fear fear's story to unravel. I'm like, they're going to respond and be like, never contact me again. And shaming all over the internet. And like, my name is Mud. And like, leave me alone, bitch. Like, I just run that story and I find how hilarious it is.
Yeah.
And how improbable and like not really possible it is.
Right.
But the reality is that is what the brain is subconsciously doing as I have the fear of contacting them. It's like, oh.
Right.
But the brain will take it that far. So I just go, okay, take it as far as you need, honey. All right, you ready? Okay, great. Let's send the message now. And then I send it.
I love that.
Yeah, and then they join the program.
Yes. And it's interesting to like, ever since Destiny, I've been very mindful of the ways that I've been playing small. And whenever I notice that I've been playing small in that way, I'm like, we're not here for that. Like, let's figure out what we need to do to like step up and show up and like be here for the message and like the destiny that I know that I'm here for, instead of like pretending that I'm not and getting sick from that feeling.
Yeah. I think there's no magic way to make sure that your creation and vision comes into play. It is a big part of how you show up to it. It is a big part of how mindful you are, how self-reflective you are, how well you can balance your energy, it all comes down to confidence. So it does. It comes down to confidence and knowing thyself and being true to yourself. So it really is all of that, but there are no step 1, step 2, step 3 that's going to work for everyone. But I would say the overarching themes like really are know thyself and know the circle, know the container really deeply that you're asking people to come into, or know so deeply your own process on how you allow a container to organically happen and take its own form so people feel safe. All people want to do when they join a program is to know, a lot of people need to know, how long is it? How much is it? What do I get? What am I leaving with? What problem is it going to help solve? Like, our mind does want to know that stuff. I have a coach who's got a new program coming out, and I was like, oh my God, of course I'm joining. And I went to hit pay and I was like, wait a second. Oh, my needs. I need to know, when are the call times? For some people, they don't care if they make the calls. And for other people, they do. So it's really about like just knowing what it is that you have and making it as clear as possible. Make that line that people come to you as clear as possible.
Yes. I love that. It's like, shovel your driveway for them.
Shovel your damn driveway.
Yes.
But yeah, Goddess Awakening, March 8th, International Women's Day. It's like so perfect. But
love it.
My friend Farah and I are running it, and we were getting all caught up in like, oh, this detail. I was like, whoa. Remember, we said this is going to be fun, easy, flowing. Those are our guidelines here. We decided this is going to be fun. So it is going to be fun. And we're just hosting the first month for free. So
beautiful.
Because it's a new project. It's like, you know what? It's free for a month. Just come and join. And that only helps us in our own process. And then it relieves any pressure. So if you feel pressure in your launch, just wait a second. How can I relieve any pressure here? It's like, okay, well, it's free for a month. Great. Fabulous. Love it.
Very cool. I love that. And
so Goddess Awakening. Goddess Awakening is what it's called. It's actually a Facebook I've created right now. Goddess Awakening.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So how can people connect with you afterwards and to know more about you and all the beautiful lessons that you have?
Yeah, well, most people probably already know how to connect with me because I shared this out on my thing. So anybody seeing me, you already know, you can PM me. But one of the easy ways to see what the program is for Goddess Awakening is to actually go to leannajaneyoga.com. That's like my sign in the background. I don't know if you can see it, but leannajaneyoga.com. Yeah. And then click on Sisterhoods and it'll show up. It's called Goddess Awakening. It's already a group that's created on Facebook. So technically you could just join and we can connect there, but you can also find me on Facebook, Leanna Jane Lewis. Not so much Insta, I'm not gonna lie. I don't quite remember my, like, is it called a handle? Like,
yeah, it's a handle.
Myself, right?
What is it at? What's your at?
Yeah, I think it's Leanna Jane Lewis.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So guys, go check her out and all the beautiful things that she's offering. I think you even have like a free Facebook community as well.
Oh my gosh, I totally do. Yes, Leanna Jane Yoga. Thank you for the reminder. It's a free Facebook group, and I'll be putting all the promo stuff in there too.
Beautiful. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And deepening the trust, because I know that like my people, that continues to be a thing of like trusting and letting go of control. So for the women out there who are light workers who are like, how do I get the trust? How do I strengthen that faith? What were your processes or work that you did to be like, I just trust, like it's just here? And make that little ego voice be like,
trust. Okay. Sorry, I'm like so mindful. I'm like, I'm noticing my mind is going somewhere else. How to build the trust? You need to be willing to fall flat on your face. Do you know how many launches or things I put out where it's like crickets, nada, nothing? So it's trust is built because we've honed our resilient being.
Yeah.
So this is a huge part of Goddess Awakening, is this underlying belief that you have this resilient piece within you. It's your goddess. It is your goddess who is waking up more and more. She is the one that is with you at 4 a.m. when you're on the ledge of life. She is the one just holding space and listening. She's not judging you. She's the one, while you stay up and your kids are sick for the 3rd week in a row and you have nothing left to give. She is there. She is your resilient piece. She is the all-knowing being. She is the all-trusting being. Yeah. And so it really is about trusting that we can fall and not just rise again, but we can fall and rise again and again and again and again and over and over and over, because that is just life. So trust is built because we've fallen and we've accepted how life actually is versus how we want. Trust is something that's built because we've stopped trying to control everything and because we've just let go.
And so I love that's what you're using, fall instead of like failure, because it's the stories that people put on themselves. Like I have had so many light workers who are like, oh, I want to like put something on, but then what if no one ever signs up? Like what if I like make a Facebook event and it's crickets? And what if I like rent out a space and no one shows up? And I'm like, I've done that in workshops. Like I've done workshops that 1 month sell out and the next month no one shows up for. And when I started posting those things, people were like, oh my God. Or if I was like, yeah, one person came and this one person was exactly what I needed, because they weren't ready for the like old version of that. They were kind of in the middle of getting ready for my like version 2 of that program or the next step of that program. And it gave me so much insight. So it wasn't a quote failure that our ego minds want to say, if you don't make X amount of money or have so many people or have such an impact, then you're not doing good. And it's like, that's part of the process. And it's like, to be like, yeah, like it worked out for me. Like my last launch that
it's always working out for you. I just want to pause you there, because we are so resistant to fully believing it is always working out for me.
Yes. 100%.
I am currently embodying it is always working out for me. Yes. There is always this piece of love and compassion and light that is constantly coming out of me, even though and even when I fall or fail or stub my toe. Like I am that now. And it's always working out for you. The exact people always show up. I have a free training tonight, actually. And if you're watching, you can find it on my page. I've said it so many times. Coming home again. And I have about 20 or 30 people signed up, but maybe 2 people will actually show up. I'm still running it. I'm still going to show up because it's always working out for me.
Yes. I love that. And like, I like to question those rules. Like, it's like, who says that you need to have X amount of people in your group for it to be a success? Like, who says that you need to look a certain way to be accepted for love? Like, who says, like, to question those thoughts that come up? It's like, who says that your hair needs to look like that? Like, who says that you need to do these things? Because it's like, they're bullshit stories. And when you take the time to like question your own thoughts and have that reflective time, it's like, that is so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. We need to be incredibly self-reflective all the time and call ourselves out. Like, if people are like, well, what if I do this and it doesn't work? Well, it's definitely not working now because you haven't done it. You can't understand how the energy is going to play out until you activate it.
Yes.
So to me, like, from where I sit now, I'm like, your logic makes no sense. But if you want to talk about fear as an underlying emotion you want to understand, then we can talk about that.
Right. And I love that you're playful with it, and that people are so afraid of fear that they don't think about being like curious or playful about it. They just want to like nub it out and shut it down. So I love that you use that.
You need to get curious about this. Gay Hendricks does a lot of this work, and it's just brilliant. And it's definitely how I function. Are you interested to get curious and ask yourselves questions and be fun about it?
Exactly. I love that so much.
Yeah. It was a lovely chat.
Awesome. I know. And I'm like, I totally got so wrapped up in it. I did not pay attention to comments, but earlier, Kelly, I know that she uses this account. I so am guilty of this one because I don't enforce boundaries. Yeah, that's when we were talking about boundaries to family, and it does hurt me sometimes. And Joy had joined on. Hi, ladies. Good to check in. Love the information. And Christy, love seeing two beautiful women together. Good morning. Good morning, Christy.
Hey, Christy.
An awesome day. So yes, guys, definitely check out Goddess Gatherings. And if you're new to me and you're from Leanna's tag, I'm running on Monday my 3-month group coaching and healing program. Enrollment's officially closing for From Broken to Blissful, where I literally dive deep into like unconditionally loving yourself, healing your past, and loving your relationships and your partner, and going deep into those, because I felt super broken, though I was in the personal development world and spiritual world and doing all this stuff. And I was at a Tony Robbins event, and he's like, no one's broken. And I'm like, totally on board. I get that. Limiting beliefs, subconscious stuff, our stories. But as a woman, I felt broken because my vagina wasn't working. I was molested when I was younger, and I was like, there is something deeply fucked up in me, and I'm not getting wet enough. I'm not orgasming. I'm the only one in my friend group who's like having this issue. So like, I kind of just don't talk about it until I got into light worker communities. And then I'm like, I'm not orgasming. I'm like, I think it feels like this. And they're like, girl, like if you think that it happened, it probably isn't happening. And I'm like, but like, it felt good. Like, and it was so unbelievably stressful and frustrating. And I felt alone. And when I'd run into people on my healing journey who would support me in a little bit of the way, but like didn't understand, because they always had an ease and grace experience in orgasming, like I felt even more damaged. And I'm like, no one gets it. Like no one understands. And the more I've shared my experience of going from that to like squirting and gushing and being so deeply in tune to my body and knowing what my pleasure is and being able to cultivate it through breath and doing like spiritual sexual practices and like all these different things, women are like, oh my God, like, I don't think I have either. And they're like, thank you so much for sharing, because they don't want to admit to their partner or their friend group or whatever that they're having difficulty, or that after having a baby, they're having difficulty, or that all these different things, that they had a sexual harassment or rape or molestation or something, and then it just stopped working. So that's what I'm calling in for my community. And I have been super honest, and it feels so good in my clarity calls to like upfront be like, this is what the group is and the container is. And we want to see what you're at in your life and on your journey to like fit in. And it's this is what
the container actually is. Totally. That clarity, right? Clarity of self so that others understand.
I love that. Beautiful. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us this morning and sharing all of your amazing goddess energy with us and all of your high vibe practices. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.